Hey everyone, Brian here at Vintage Classic Specialist. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Hope everyone's week is going well so far. It is time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So, big day in the life of the Ghia. I'm going to have to come up with a new name for it. I've been calling this Ghia the Krusty Karmann for good reason. So as you can see, it's got paint. So let me come back to that. So why don't we go ahead and start talking about what else happened today? So the owner of the beautiful turquoise 62 Beetle wanted like one more little thing for us to do. And he had mentioned that his steering box or something in the front end would like occasionally drip a drop or two of oil, grease, whatever. He wanted us to take a look at it. Well, it was the steering box. Steering boxes on these cars not uncommonly leak, and he asked if we could take care of it. So today Rafa went ahead and pulled the steering box, and it was already, so one thing that we do is with them to help prevent them from leaking oil is we drain the oil and fill them with grease. In this case, though, the box is, I think, a TRW box that he bought, which otherwise feels great. But it was leaking. And anyway, it already had grease in it. So Rafa cleaned all the grease out and put in some thicker grease. And it almost seemed like it had too much grease in it. Like there was so much in there that if the steering box warmed up any, like on a, like say on a hot day, that the grease would be like forced out of the steering box. Not really sure. But anyway, so Rafa cleaned out all that grease, put in some thicker grease, and put it back together. And there you go. Pretty sure it's not going to leak anymore. Fingers crossed on that one. So that was literally the last thing. I got to get with the owner and see when he wants to come pick it up. But yeah, so anyway, it's good for you guys because you got to see it for at least another day. Good for me too, because it's beautiful and I like looking at it. So Rafa did that first, and then briefly on this one, I promise I'll come back to it in more detail. Rafa spent some time going over this one with a very, very fine-tooth comb, looking for any little like pinholes or anything on it that could get like a last-minute bit of glazing to fill in before it got its final coat of paint, and then 3 coats of clear. So that was part of Rafa's morning. And then he turned his attention to the tennis ball, and he got the radio installed in it. So you can see the retro sound radio that we got there, all black, super appropriate looking for this car. It looks like the radio that actually the owners originally had in it. Pretty much looks nearly exactly the same. And in fact, we had to use the bezel off their radio. The bezel that came from Retro Sound was smaller and sort of fit inside the opening in the padded dash. The radio that they had sort of like covered the opening in the padded dash, and then luckily the Retro Sound face fit right inside the sort of lip of this one. So it's really hard to tell, but this is the Retro Sound faceplate that you see on the inside, and then kind of around the outside what you're seeing is the one from the original radio they had on here. So it looks very factory. Really happy with how that came out. So yeah, he had to spend some time modifying the original radio faceplate and stuff like that to get everything to fit real nice, but looks factory, looks good. And that's kind of the whole point of the Retro Sound radios, is that, maybe if somebody's not looking real close, they might think it's a period correct radio that could have come with the car. So super cool. But anyway, it is installed. I don't think he wired it yet, but it's physically in there now. So how about me? What did I do today? So I started in on this pup here, the beautiful one family sea blue 64 Beetle, and continued working on the front suspension. So yesterday I had this assembly together, or on the car, spindle assembly. Went ahead and finished putting this one on today, and then started putting on things like tie rods and shocks and steering damper and so on. So pretty much got the front of this car together except the obvious brakes. So I just found out that the wide 5 brakes that I want to put on this car, which fit onto stock non-drop spindles, are available. They were out of stock for a little while, so might even get those later this week. And then of course we'll have to do some painting and stuff on them. But yeah, hopefully this car will get its front brakes and stuff maybe even later this week. But yeah, other than that, the front of it is pretty much together, except really for the brakes at this point. Well, one other thing that it doesn't have quite yet is the steering isn't fully hooked up yet, because I had kind of forgot to order the steering coupler disc, that thing, which by the way Wolfsburg West is out of. And yeah, I know this one says Wolfsburg West on it. Wolfsburg West is out of them, and I think they said like March before they get any more. Luckily, Eddie Collins to the rescue. He had at least one in stock, which I got from him. So tomorrow I'll probably go ahead and finish hooking up the steering, and then everything but the brakes will be done up in the front of this beauty here. So that was how I spent part of my morning anyway. All right, so it's a bit of a maze in here right now. So from there, I went, and the car is a little bit cramped in here at the moment. Kind of started putting away cars for the night. But I finished the passenger side door on this car as far as putting the window in. So this is the side that the lift channel was all completely rusted out, and so wouldn't hold the window anymore. So got a new lift channel from Wolfsburg West and installed that with a new seal and put the window in, got everything adjusted and so on. And then I also went ahead and put on the moisture barrier plastic film to, you know, prevent water that would happen to make its way through the opening to keep it from getting on the door panels, the insides of the door panels. So that's what happens when you see door panels that look like they've maybe got wet or whatever, and the bottoms of them usually start kind of like peeling away from the door and stuff like that. Usually that's because this moisture barrier is either not there or is tore or whatever. But yeah, this is what's supposed to prevent that from happening, that any water that does make its way into the door stays away from the wood on the door panel. Anyway, so those are on. So let me continue talking about this car for a while. Another thing that she wanted done was a tune-up. So today I drained the oil on it. The oil didn't actually look too bad, but some other things don't look so great, and I think it's a good thing she's having me do a tune-up here. I did drive this car actually when I helped her do a pre-purchase inspection on it, and we drove this thing. We took it up on the freeway. It actually ran really good. So I think it's really, really going to run good when I'm done with the tune-up, because there were some things on here that were, let's just say, less than optimal. So yeah, and I'll show you some of these parts here. The spark plug wires look terrible. The distributor cap and rotor look terrible. And the points, which I have taken out now, had maybe 10 thousandths of a gap in them, maybe. And also their surfaces of the points looked terrible. So for those of you that don't know, when I say the gap in the points was 10 thousandths, for your reference, it's supposed to be like 16. So way too closed down on those. And then also I checked the static timing, because I didn't do this until I already had drained the oil. So needless to say, I didn't want to start the car. But anyway, I checked the static timing, and well, you can see where it was right there. The static timing was at about 6 degrees. It is a 009 distributor, which usually have about 18, maybe 20-ish, give or take, degrees of full advance. So with the 009, you set the timing by full advance, and usually for like a stock motor, you want to aim for around 32 or so. So even assuming this particular 009 has 20 degrees, this thing was running at maybe max of like, say, 26 degrees total advance, which is really nowhere nearly enough. Again, should be like 30, 32 for them to really run their best. So between the fact that the point gap was way too low and the timing was way too retarded, I expect this thing to run a lot better. And again, I drove it. It felt like it was running good. So I think it's really going to run great with this tune-up and getting these things set correctly on here. Other than that, I did mention the plug wires and the plugs themselves. I'm going to go ahead and put new plugs in it. Usually they don't like wear out or anything, but I'm just not really happy with how these look. And at least one, if I can get this to focus here, one of them had some kind of like weird buildup on it. I don't even know what that stuff is. I tried to kind of scrape it a little bit with my finger, and it seems pretty stuck on there. And I didn't try too hard to get it off because I'm going to replace these plugs, and I thought it'd be interesting to show you guys on the video. Some kind of deposit on there. I don't know what it is. So yeah, the plugs just didn't look great, and plugs are relatively inexpensive, so it seemed like it made sense to replace them while I'm at it. The plug wires also didn't look great, and they've got some kind of wore out looking spots where they were rubbing on something. They're super greasy. Same thing with the distributor cap, and you know, grease probably doesn't really hurt anything cosmetically, but the inside of it, the little electrodes there look pretty charred. Likewise, here it is. Likewise, this has definitely seen better days. So I think a good ignition system tune-up on this car is going to really make a big difference. The other thing that I did she wanted new tailpipes. You can see how bad, well, both of them looked. One of them, so this was the side facing up. This one was kind of chrome still. The other side just looked terrible. I was afraid that there was no way in hell, especially this one, was going to come out when I loosened up the clamps. But I was pleasantly surprised that when I loosened up and removed the clamps, both of these actually came out with just kind of like twisting and pulling on them. So I was very surprised because I thought I was going to have to tell her, like, you know what, I'm sorry, they're rusted in, because the muffler itself, the whole thing kind of looks like that. So I was expecting these to be like rusted, solid, fused with the muffler, but they came out pretty cooperatively. And so now her car does have lovely new exhaust pipe tips on it. It will make zero difference performance wise or anything else, but you know, it just looks a lot better. This is a fairly nice looking car, and those rusty tailpipes were definitely not helping it any. So yeah, little things she wanted. So yeah, probably go ahead and finish the tune-up on this thing tomorrow, put some fresh oil in it, tune up the ignition system, and should run a lot better. So that was pretty much my day between 67 and 64. So, all right, you've been waiting for me to talk about this beauty. So yeah, really happy with this paint job. The color is just amazing. The color is supposed to be, I believe it's called pine green. I think it was a 68 Ghia only color. Anyone correct me if you have any other information on that, on this color. But it's just a really great, deep, rich green. And as you can see, the body work that Renee did is just incredible on this thing. You can see the reflections on it. And this is just the paint job with no color sand or buff or anything. So the paint now has to sit and dry for a few days, and then then Renee will go ahead and do color sanding, and then the other guy that we use will go ahead and buff it all out, and it is gonna look amazing, I have no doubt. So if you've been following the channel for a while, you know how terrible, literally, the body on this car was when it came in. So it's nothing short of a miracle, and a testament to Renee's skill and patience that this car is looking this amazing. But yeah, so again, this is without even color sanding and buffing. It's looking really, really good. Super happy with this car, and the color is just, I love this color. I really want a car this color now. I was just telling Rafa earlier that I would like to paint a split window Beetle this color. I know that would be a little sacrilegious because this is not a correct split window color, but man, I love this color, and I think a split Beetle would look great in this color. But anyway, yeah, so next step is that color sand and buff. And then, of course, like I mentioned before, the doors and the front and rear lids still need to be painted. And, you know, some other little things. Ghias have those little covers that go over the bumper brackets. So stuff like that. Little covers for the torsion bar access plates. You know, there's a bunch of little stuff like that. Of course, it will still need to be painted too. But wow, guys, I am so happy with how this car is coming out. So there you go. It's been kind of a long road on this one, as much rust and body damage as it had. So there you go, guys. Oh, I just wanted to mention one other interesting thing. So Rafa has been in the VW restoration business for 30 years now. And he mentioned earlier that he has never done a car this color. He's done like almost every other color, but he said this is a new one to him. And also the Ravana green there of the 74 Beetle new. So kind of cool. As long as he's been at this 3 decades, he's never done a car in either of these colors. So pretty cool, actually. And really great colors, both of them. Very unique, I think. Anyway, guys, I think that's it. So please tune in again tomorrow, same time, same YouTube channel. So thank you all for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.